Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. I hope everybody is enjoying their Christmas holidays. It's Christmas Eve. Early Merry Christmas to everybody. I got the bowl game on Saturday. Like I said, we are in Houston. We will not go live Friday. I want to tell everybody that at the beginning of the stream. We're going to have bowl game practice. We'll get the footage for you. We're preparing for LSU in Houston. But today we will be doing a preview for that. Who's in, who's out, what to expect, breaking down all the odds, per usual, good stuff for the final dance of 2025 for the LSU Tigers. Let me go ahead and share this to our people on Facebook. And let's jump right into one of the last shows of this year. All right, bowl game preview. Got a lot of people that opted out in terms of your starters, your stars, the people that you usually saw on the field for your LSU Tigers. Garrett Nussmeier, Harold Perkins, Whit Weeks, Spencer Delane, Aaron Anderson, Josh Thompson. It's a lot of names, right? And if you look at the positions, you're going to see a good chunk of your defense missing, which was your bright spot, right? And I mean, look, for the offensive side of things, I'm going to enjoy the fact that the young guys are getting out there, the prospects, if you will, the diamonds in the rough, because, I mean, this is going to be about where LSU's roster is, what Lane Kiffin has to do, who he has to add. It's a good litmus test for the guys. Now, in terms of big roles that you're going to see, DJ Pickett. I think that's going to be the number one thing. It's your room now, straight up. Mansour Delane, he was the guy. He was the lockdown. He was CB1. He's out of here. He's off to the big leagues. He's probably going to get drafted in the top 15 of next year's NFL draft, depending on how he tests in the combine and at the pro day. But DJ Pickett is going to be one of the biggest focal points all game long. That was one of the biggest names that everybody talked about in terms of, is he going to stay? Retaining Corey Raymond, Blake Baker, those type of moves were pivotal in keeping him in this room. And he had a great season, especially as a freshman, to be able to go out there, lock down some SEC guys in primetime games, big moments, big slots. That's hard to do. I mean, a little bit easier when you're 6'5" and you're long as hell, but regardless, that's going to be one of the biggest players and impacts, I think, that we'll see in this game. PJ Woodland, of course, Devon Keys, guys like Paul Mubenga. I don't know about Colin Eccles since he just entered the portal yesterday. Carius Kern as well entered the portal. I could see it going both ways because it's kind of beneficial if Carius and Colin potentially step in there, because now LSU isn't going to be, I don't want to say without key or good talent at the line, but you're going to have to go really deep in your bag and deep in your depth chart if those two guys aren't going to be able to suit up. And I think it'll help them as well if they played one more from the portal standpoint, because you get more tape out there and it's just one more moment. But like I said, this is going to help LSU regardless. Young depth, throwing the fire at the perfect time. This game don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? This is just one of those moments where you're just trying to look forward to next year. Keep it going. See where you're at this point. Look, they 2-1 in the Texas Bowl too. So even if they lose this at 500, even if you drop this game, you're still going to be all right. You're still going to make it out. Now let's get the statistics here. I got our usual breakdown for you. LSU and Houston. Tigers are underdogs, bro. Plus 114 on the money line. Totals at 41. LSU's plus 2.5 on the spread. I'll be honest with you. I would take the points because you cover your ass two different ways. I do think LSU wins this game, so I mean the money line will be interesting. It'll be staring at me. It'll be looking at me hard, man. I can't lie. But the points, it gives you a little protective covering. I can't lie to you. It makes sense that they're underdogs, though, in this point. I mean, look, they beat Western Kentucky by 3 points, 13-10. The offense has been a dud, and you're going to have several key opt-outs from your best wide receiver to obviously your starting quarterback, who I know hasn't played recently, but still, I mean, that's going to be an integral part because most of these statistics that you see on here, even though they're bad statistics, are coming from him. So potentially you can get worse. But Michael Van Buren has an opportunity. And same thing for him, too. Like I said about Carius and Cohen, he has an opportunity to put some tape out there because there's not really a clear future for him right now. He's not definitively the guy that LSU is going to put their chips on. More than likely, they're going to get one or two people out of the portal. So MVB has a moment here on Saturday to be able to turn some heads, boost his stock a little bit in terms of the transfer portal. But I think Houston has a leg up if you think about it. I've just rambled off half a dozen key starters that LSU has had opt out. I don't really think Houston has had a starter opt out yet. And if they have, the news hasn't really broken. Houston's going to retain most of their team. Houston's going to be able to go out there with the group that they've been playing with. But the key for me is going to be the defense in LSU. And here's why. Blake Baker's retained. most of the staff is retained with Peoples, with Olsen, with Raymond. That was your gold. I'm not gonna say golden goose, but that was your main carrier of this team all season long. The defense. So if you could put Houston in a predicament, kind of like you did John Mateer when you only lost 17-13 to Oklahoma, who, by the way, made the college football playoff. Some people thought they'd beat Alabama. If you can put him in that same situation where Mateer threw 3 picks, and I don't know, you get them out here and you get a turnover or 2, I think LSU can have the tide turn in their favor. I can't lie to you. Now, here's the thing, though. Even though LSU's putting out their young talent, there is something to be said about them playing an SEC schedule. And I catch a lot of flack for this. And I mean, even when LSU was playing USC, I kind of had the same mindset, even though it didn't work out. It's just a size thing. And sometimes you want to lean on SEC and do that SEC bias. It's hard not to. I mean, they got 5 teams in the college football playoff. There's a reason why it's the toughest conference in college football. I'm just going to bet on the defense staying hot under Blake Baker. I don't think Michael Van Buren has to have a hero game. I don't think he has to score more than 21 points. I think the defense can go out and hold Houston to about 17. I mean, if they score over 2 touchdowns, it might get a little sweaty. But I think in Frank Wilson's final game as LSU's interim head coach, he's going to want to make a statement. Now, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. More than likely, could be an Ole Miss. They lost their running back coach, I heard. Wonder who. But my final prediction, LSU, I'll take them 21-14. Come on, nice and simple. That would have the total at 35. So stay away from the total, in my opinion. Your safest pick of the night, LSU plus 2.5. If they lose somehow, some way, you might be able to cover it just a little bit. Let's talk about this coaching staff, though, because LSU announced on Monday after we went live at about 5 o'clock that pretty much everybody's hired. And everybody has their job, their full-time position, whatever the case, whatever you want to say. Here's the number one takeaway that I have. There's a lot of assistants, a lot of co's, like co-OC, co-DC, 2 wide receiver coaches. And at first, I'm kind of confused, but the more I think about it, the more I did digging in their qualifications, their experience, where they come from, it makes a lot of sense. First off, I trust the Lane Kiffin process, obviously, but even from the wide receiver standpoint, like think about it. You got an outside wide receivers coach or just a full wide receivers coach in general. Then you got an inside wide receivers coach because it's almost 2 different positions. The inside wide receivers are your slot guys. They're lined up against linebackers. They're lined up against safeties. Your perimeter guys are lined up against corners, beating presses, doing goes, trying to utilize speed. So it is kind of 2 mind frames, and separating it could potentially create a more efficient offense. And for the last time, bro, if anybody knows about an offensive staff or an offensive scheme or how to put things together, it's your guy like Kiffin. So I like that as well. I trust the process. Let's name everybody. Top to bottom, Joe Houston will be your special teams coordinator. He coached at Iowa State and Florida recently, mainly just analyst, quality control coaching. He hasn't had a major role yet, but look, special teams is important. You can ask any LSU fan. They'll tell you whether it be kicking field goals, returning punts, hopefully not fumbling any of them. It's going to be a key integral part because special teams really does control a lot of it, especially when it's a close game and you look back and you're like, oh, well, we could have grabbed 3 points here, or oh, we could have punted them and chewed an extra 20 yards off of their drive and pushing them back a little bit further. Field position is just about everything. Being able to flip it and put them in a tough predicament more often than not puts you in a better chance to win or at least succeed comparatively to them damn near house and every single thing on you. So shout out Joe Houston. He'll take over an interesting role that I do think is important here. Assistant D-line and pass rush specialist Lou Spanos, great hire. I'm going to tell you why. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Steelers as a coach. And he coached there for 14 years. I mean, if there's any job that has a high turnaround, revolving door, constant change, it's coaching. And if you can be at one spot for a decade and a half, you're doing something right. Shout out to you, especially with a guy like Mike Townley. He coached at Ole Miss recently, so he has history with Lane. Shout out Lou. It's probably one of my favorite hires here. That or Kevin Smith, of course. Chris Kiffin, he'll in fact join the squad. But this one's interesting. As co-DC and linebackers coach, this kind of goes back to my point of saying how maybe having 2 people to be able to split some of these tasks or some of these requirements or some of these duties could create a more efficient squad. And it'd be interesting to see it playing out. Chris Kiffin, I talked about this a lot. I felt like the decision was clear. You saw his son, Cookie, shout out Cookie, all over campus. I mean, with Lane everywhere, whether it be Torchies, whether it be going to eat at Phil's Oyster Bar, whatever the case may be. He's embraced LSU more than a lot of people in recent times, I'll say. So that one I think made sense. We talked about him about a week or two ago. He coached with the Browns. He's coached with Lane for a while, and it's his brother. So, I mean, come on. This is going to be a good opportunity for him. O-line coach Eric Walford, once again, talked about him. He had his time at Bama and Kentucky. Trusted change. You're going to have to see some improvement in the trenches if you want to succeed at all. You're going to have to change. You're going to have to get better. You're going to have to get tougher up front, physical, whatever you want to say. Do what you got to do. You got to improve in that position. Dane Stevens, quarterbacks coach, he came from Ole Miss with Lane. Damn near all of these offensive coaches traveled. So, I mean, you're going to see that continuity. You're not going to have a lot of change, if you will, in a positive way because, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So Lane's guys are coming with him. Now, the defensive side, you did retain a good key integral part of them, but D-line, areas like that are going to be able to kind of get a little bit of a refresher with guys like Sterling Lucas. He came from South Carolina. I ain't going to lie. At first, I was like, man, South Carolina's D-line coach. What about Dylan Stewart? What's Dylan Stewart up to? And obviously, I see he was made the highest paid linebacker. If he's not highest paid, he's like top 5. South Carolina's going to put the reins on him. He's not leaving. Unfortunately for us, that would be an insane grab. Charlie Weiss, of course, offensive coordinator. He just called Tulane versus Ole Miss. We talked about that. Pete Golden gave him his flowers. I like the transition here with the entire bulk of the offensive staff coming. And then last but not least, our guy, Kevin Smith. 7 years with Lane. Had about 3 at FAU. Ole Miss, obviously. Took a break, went to Miami for 1 year. And he finished off at Ole Miss with Mr. Kewan Lacey, who has been the talk of town. Kewan Lacey. If you had a Christmas wish list for LSU, he's probably at the top of it. Him or Mr. Trinidad Chambers, I can't lie to you. But the staff is really good. I like it. I like that they have a lot of NFL experience. Like I said, my favorite is probably Coach Lou. I mean, bro, you got 14 years in Pittsburgh. You're doing something right. I can't lie. I trust Coach Tomlin. I trust that whole system. And if you win 2 Super Bowls, bro, I mean, there's just not many pieces of your resume that you can brag about like that in that regard. So it'll be interesting. Let's go take a look in the chat. AP, Merry Christmas, man. Come on, AP. Merry Christmas to you too, my guy. Ivan in the chat. These paid prima donnas should have an option when it comes to bowl games. They're being paid. They're employees. You know, it's an interesting conundrum. I could see it both ways. Because let's use this, for example. Aaron Anderson, Darren Nussmeier, Harold Perkins. Let's use those 3. What if they got hurt? And then now their draft stock plummets, or now they're not able to go test in the pro day. And then you know what the NFL is going to do. They're like, you're not really going to get drafted. Now you're going to have to sign. So from a risk standpoint, it makes sense. And I'll keep it Ole Miss related. You remember Matt Corral, their quarterback, before Jackson Dart? But he got hurt in the bowl game. And I'm not saying we haven't heard anything from him yet, but it changes things. It puts a little bit of a strain on you, if you will. Damon Wilson, sorry for being late. Come on, man. You're not late, bro. Glad you're in the chat. All NIL should be incentive-based. I'll agree with that. Because guaranteeing somebody that amount of money and not putting benchmarks in it kind of changes the motivation factor, in my opinion. Because I feel like, I mean, shit, it's kind of, we use this example for Brian Kelly a little bit, and this is an interesting example, but like if you got a $55 million buyout over your head, and worst case scenario, if the season doesn't plan out, you get a nice check and you go play golf. I'm not really that motivated to stay in the building. Now, that's besides the point, but AP Bet You High is excited to get Kiffin as their quarterback. Curious to see how he fits in. Let's talk about that real quick. So it was announced this week Knox will indeed play over there. I think it's a great decision, too. I think it's a great school, right on campus. You're pretty much integrated into the LSU community. Also, it's so close for Lane. I mean, he'll be there 24/7. He could damn near sprint to the facility. Then the amount of talent that's going to be around there. There's all kind of recruits. I mean, look, Lamar Brown came out of there. But the interesting part, I think, is that most people would think he's a shoo-in for LSU. I mean, he was getting recruited by LSU. He went to 2 of their games on visits. And there was a lot of noise on his relationship with Joe Sloan and just like the overall recruitment process. But then he comes out with a comment, with a statement. I find it interesting, and I ain't going to lie. I like it a little bit. Read it. I don't want to play for him. I want to beat him. First things first. You can tell this is Coach Kiffin's son. That's a competitive mindset. That's exactly what you want to hear, right? And I think it's just kind of interesting, too, because most kids at ULAB, except for Lamar Brown, thank you, my guy, but most kids that go to ULAB, they've been at LSU or around that environment for 4 years. They want to see something different. They want to go someplace else. They want to stretch their wings. They want to see, okay, cool, what else is out there? So I can see why Knox wouldn't go. He did post something about the Cal coach, Tosh Luupi. I'm not pronouncing his last name, sorry. Probably butchered it to hell. But he came from Oregon. He met with Knox. And he didn't just recruit him. He didn't just take him around on a visit and show him all the fancy stuff, do the classic sales pitch. He sat down and watched film. And he said, hey, you're good at this. Not so good at this. Here's where you can improve. Here's some things I like. So it's interesting to see that there are other schools, obviously, that are going to have a nice relationship. They're going to have a nice connection. They're going to be able to get access. They're going to be able to take him on visits. They're going to be able to communicate with guys like Lane Kiffin and people on his staff. So I think that more than likely he'll go to a good school. Don't think it's LSU. Obviously, you heard what he said. I don't think you're going to have to dig too deep into it. But him going to U-High is exciting. It's probably one of the bigger draws. AP's asking, does U-High put their games on YouTube on Friday night? Let me look that up for you. Let's see. I'm curious myself. Let's see. NFHS Network, a subscription streaming service that broadcasts live and on-demand games. So if you go to nfhsnetwork.com, you could find ULab. It is a subscription. I don't know how much it is. Come on, man. I'm out here giving free promo for them. Hey, if I'm going to keep giving free promo, here's one more thing I'll give free promo for. Y'all boys, Snapple, y'all got to hit me up, man. Y'all got to hit me up. I'm loving it. Snapple, Apple. Come on, dog. I'm in there every single day. All right, let's talk about this. Jeff Landry. He wrote an article on the chaos in college football. And I'm not going to lie. I agree with him. I agree with pretty much everything he said. He was spot on the money. He called out college football for having no structure, no governance. He was talking about the fact that you need a college football overseeing board, whether it be a commissioner, whether it be a handful of people. My take on it is they're going to have experience. I don't want no suit that really hadn't been in that environment. Go get a Nick Saban. Go get a coach. Go get a former player. Go get somebody like that has a finger on the pulse. We even said the same thing in terms of colleges hiring coaches. Go get some of your former alumni in there. Go ask Tyrann Mathieu. Go ask Andrew Whitworth, whatever the case may be. I think this is the same thing. If you're going to have people making decisions for sport, I think that they should have a direct tie to that sport, whether they work in it. I'm not trying to say that just watching it ain't enough. However, I mean, if Jeff Landry was the college football commissioner, we would probably hear some interesting things sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. They don't really have clear rules for NIL either. He touched on that. He touched on the fact that even hiring coaches sometimes is confusing. Look at the situation with Lane Kiffin. I mean, that put a lot of people in a stressful situation. Is he going to coach us in the playoffs? Is he not? And the Frank Wilson situation. Is he going to stay on staff for signing day? What's going to happen? Are we going to lose top recruits? I mean, those type of issues are definitely an elephant in the room, if you will. Nick Saban said it. And look, we got our guy Sweet Home Bam in the chat. Someone say Nick Saban? Come on, man. He heard Nick Saban. He jumped right into the chat. What's up, my guy? But yeah, he said it best. You're going to have to match the calendar or the athletic calendar to the academic calendar because you're kind of losing sight on it. Everybody says the whole cliche, you're a student athlete. What comes first? Student. And it's kind of lost because people get in the portal. People not really, I'm not going to say taking class seriously, but it's more about compensation and what they can do for you in that department comparatively to how they're going to be able to help you off the field. And I think the off the field thing is the most important. I'd even go out on a limb and say before they get their first NIL check, you got to tell them how to save the shit, pay taxes, do all this good stuff because there's going to be a lot of issues in that area as well. The addition of NIL rev share, he was saying instead of like solving the problems that college football had, it created a plethora of problems, a lot more problems than you initially had. And the last take that I like that he said, college football is one of the most popular sports. It gets more views than the NBA, bro. It's way more views than the NBA, but the NBA streaming deal is bigger. And here's why, more than likely, in my opinion. Y'all can comment how you feel in the chat, but I think it's because of the way they segment it. The Big Ten has their deal. The SEC has their deal. ACC, Big 12, so on and so forth. Jeff Landry is saying that you should do one deal, a centralized TV deal, make it worth billions, and then evenly cut up the pie like that. And there's probably an option to have more money in that regard because now you're paid collectively for the entire likeness of college football. And you're not just splitting it into the ESPN, getting the SEC rights or the college football playoff rights or whatever the case may be. It'll be a behemoth coming in and taking it all. Now, you do see the NFL kind of split it up. Like Fox gets some games, ESPN gets some games, Amazon Prime, Peacock, all this good stuff. So I'd imagine somehow, some way, it'll splinter into that. But I do think if you were to control the broadcast deals, you're going to have less issues, like with the Notre Dame situation. I can't lie to you. And I want to talk about that real quick, too, because we said something about it Monday. It ain't Notre Dame that stopped the USC series. Apparently, it's USC that stopped the Notre Dame series. So I find that to be interesting. They were talking about how pretty much it ain't fair that Notre Dame's getting into the top 12. So why risk it? Why put yourself in that predicament? I feel like he should have kept the series, because the more you think of things like that, the more the chaos, the issues, all this good stuff pops up, the more confusing it'll be and the harder it'll be to fix. I can't lie to you. I don't know how you get a college football commissioner. I don't know how you start it. I don't know what's going to have to happen. Jeff saying it's probably going to have to come through a federal mandate. You're going to have to get the government involved. It'll be interesting, because right now it's probably one of the most confusing Wild West just areas in the entire country. Or I'm not trying to say business, because it's not really a business, but I mean just like entertainment-wise, it's one of the more confusing ones from the deal standpoint, from the NIL standpoint. Like AP said, you got kids getting paid, and it should be an incentive based, because sometimes it kind of ruins the purity that you initially had. A lot of people said they love college football because the kids are still fighting for the opportunity. They're fighting to get their dream of going to the NFL. Some kids sometimes get a big enough check where they're just like, screw that dream. Well, it's not everybody, obviously. But when NIL is involved, you do kind of muddy up a little bit of the intrinsic factors, if you will, because that's an extrinsic motivator. Money, attention, whatever the case may be. I would want somebody that comes to LSU, to love the system, to be a Louisiana kid, whatever the case may be. You don't got to be a Louisiana kid. Shout out DJ Pickett from Florida, but you get my point. It's just the fact that they understand the culture. When times get tough, which they will, when adversity strikes, they're going to have the right fundamentals, the right foundation. It's not going to be the money. The NIL money ain't going to push you through a double, a 2-a-day workout. It's not going to push you through your weights period. It's not going to push you through, 7 a.m. classes or a 4-quarter stretch against Alabama. The NIL don't help. It don't matter if you're the number one paid college quarterback at that point. It's going to be about what's right here. So that's definitely going to be one of the more important things to focus on, in my humble opinion. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see Houston and LSU. What y'all got in the chat? Who y'all think wins? Y'all think LSU pulls this off, or you think they have a disappointing Texas Bowl at the end of the season? I think they can win it. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, it's going to be about how many turnovers you can force on Houston. Because I don't think that the offense is just going to be able to come out and answer every single time. I don't think you got that kind of offense. I mean, if you look at the points per game, you're 108th in the country, only averaging 21 points per game, which is real tough because your defense is top 15 in points allowed, giving up 18 points per game on average. Just some big offenses, too. We're talking Oklahoma. We're talking A&M. We're talking Bama, Clemson. Like, they play some guys. Florida, Ole Miss. I mean, the defense has definitely had their opportunities here this season. I think that that'll be one of the biggest catalysts for LSU being able to potentially win this game. I do think they win. I'm not going to give you the money line pick, though, as my pick. I'll give you the plus 2.5 because it covers you both ways. If LSU loses, or let's say a field goal at the last second, they were up by 1 or whatever the case may be, you're going to be able to make it out of there. Our guy Damon said 10-7 Houston. Come on, Damon. Damn, 17 points, bro. That would be rough. That'd be a rough game for me. I can't lie. AP, LSU 24-14. Okay. Let's see. I don't know how to say this name. I'm going to call you AT. AT saying Louisiana kid named Jamon Dyson at Jewel in summer high school back-to-back district MVP. How can we recruit him? Man, look, you got one of the biggest offensive minds in college football. You've got a plethora of quarterbacks at LSU that have been able to have success. I think it'll be able to recruit itself. Or it'll be able to recruit itself in that regard. LSU is one of the brands where I feel like you don't gotta sell that as hard as most people, and that could probably be a big factor as to why Lane Kiffin came here. I mean, yeah, you got the collective, and somebody put it in the comments, and we talked about it with the Blue Ribbon Elite program. It's one thing to have money in the NIL collective. It's another thing to be able to use it. It's another thing for it to be cleared. It's another thing for you to be able to actually get that money in the pockets of the players. Because if it's stuck and it can't get cleared and you can't actually legally get it to people, it don't matter how much money you got. It does not matter. It matters how you can use it. And then also by that same token, if you can get it cleared and you're just wasting it and you're thrown in at situations you don't need to be thrown at that, then you're going to put yourself in a little bit of a predicament. I can't lie to you. But that's my show for today. We're going to hop out of here. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. Like I said, no show Friday. We will be at NRG filming the practice. We will have that up for you, though. That's going to be our replacement. Instead of our live show, we're going to do our practice footage. And then, obviously, Saturday night, we'll be there on the field in NRG for the Texas Bowl. Hopefully, LSU can end the season off with a bang. Go follow us on social medias. I got every link down below. But if you don't want to click the link, top right corner, at Verdin Verdin, wherever you want. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all this good stuff. At Verdin Verdict, we'll have all the social clips, breakdowns, posts, whatever the case may be, breaking news, everything's there. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good Christmas. A Merry Christmas. Hit that thumbs up and enjoy the rest of y'all week.